What if Seth Rollins never got injured in 2015? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the BrewCrew channel. My name is Hayden Brewer, and this will, of course, be the first video, the first part of my WWE What If series. If you guys have not actually seen the actual first video of mostly me talking about what you guys will be expecting mostly in this series, I will leave a link down in the description so you guys can go maybe check it out and then come back and watch this video if y'all want. But if not, I'll go ahead and mostly just say it simply. Mostly this is me rebooking WWE from 2015 to 2020 WrestleMania 36, mostly because of this one moment in the title of the video, what if Seth Rollins never got injured in 2015? Mostly, of course, this would change so much, rebooking a lot, so mostly that's what I will be doing, and of course it will be part by part, so this will be a multi-video series, of course titled WWE What If, and this first part will be Survivor Series 2015 to WrestleMania 32. Now, with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you are new, and with that out of the way, now, let's get into the first part of WWE What If. So, we're going to go ahead and start off with Survivor Series 2015. And we're going to actually start off most of the pay-per-views with the keep matches. Now, mostly the keep matches for Survivor Series 2015 will be first the Divas Championship match between Paige versus Charlotte. Of course, the match would stay the same, and the outcome would stay the same with Charlotte retaining. Another match would be Dolph Ziggler versus Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze making his main roster debut from NXT. Would still, I believe, can't really remember much, but would still, I believe, pick up a big-time win against Dolph Ziggler. Sadly, this would be his only ever pay-per-view singles win. I mean, looking back at it, I don't know. Another keep match would kind of be the only traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination match where Team New Day, the New Day Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods, team up with Mr. Money in the Bank Sheamus and King Barrett, also known as Wade Barrett, versus Team Usos, which is Jimmy and Jay the Usos, along with the Lucha Brothers, Kalisto and Sin Cara, and the big guy Ryback will, of course, stay the same. I can't actually remember who won this, but I think Team Usos would come out with the win, as in this point, like the Usos and New Day and the Lucha Dragons were in like a little rivalry. And the final keep match, of course, would be the Brothers of Destruction versus the Wyatt family. Of course, this was the celebration of 25 years since Undertaker's debut, so they did something special for him. That was mostly the big advertisement for the show going into it. And, of course, was a pretty okay match with him and Kane, the Brothers of Destruction, versus the Wyatt family's Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt. Outcome stays the same. Now let's get into the change matches, which I'll probably talk a little more about those. First, actually starting off with kind of a keep match, but a little bit of a change on it, would be Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose. This match did happen in real life on Survivor Series, but it was that WWE Championship Tournament match that they have, but I would actually change it. I would have them have an Intercontinental title match and have Kevin Owens win, as this would still set up their long rivalry with each other for TLC and Royal Rumble, which we'll get into that later in the video. But Kevin Owens would win to retain his championship. Another match I kind of wanted to put on because I wanted to do something with the United States champion, which was Alberto Del Rio, but it was really hard for me of who he could face. So the only person I could think of who really was becoming a big name and was a big rising star at the time was Neville, also known as Pac in AEW. Them two would have a match. I'm pretty sure the match would probably be pretty good and all that, with, of course, the high-flying Neville and a pretty good wrestler in Alberto Del Rio, but Del Rio would win and retain his United States Championship. Then, of course, this would lead to the main event of Survivor Series. I'm pretty sure the main event, I would probably have this as the main event, mostly because, of course, it would be Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, which was actually the original plan before Seth Rollins got injured, but, of course, what if he didn't get injured? This match would still happen in the main event, and they were supposed to also have a match at TLC, but it wasn't confirmed of what pay-per-view Roman Reigns was supposed to win the WWE Championship. I would actually like to have him win it here at Survivor Series, but no cash-in by Sheamus. He would win it at Survivor Series, Of course, Survivor Series also a big pay-per-view for them. It was the pay-per-view they debuted at as well. So now, years later, they're both main eventing that same show. Roman Reigns gets the win and wins his first WWE World Championship at Survivor Series like he did in real life, just against Seth Rollins instead of Dean Ambrose. Now, next up is TLC 2015. Personally, one of my favorite pay-per-views. Definitely, of course, with TLC, one of my favorite TLC pay-per-views. Mostly everything about the show would stay the same, with, of course, the ECW legends, the Dudley Boys, Tommy Dreamer, and Rhino versus the Wyatt family. The triple threat ladder match with the New Day, Usos, and Lucha Dragons. Paige versus Charlotte again. Dean versus Kevin, with Dean winning and becoming Intercontinental Champion. And yes, that random chairs match between Jack Swagger and Alberto Del Rio for the United States title. I'm pretty sure, Rusev and Ryback also happened. I almost totally forgot. But yes, everything else would mostly stay the same. The only change would be the main event, which would be a TLC match between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. It would be a grueling all-out war between these two guys. And I would have Roman Reigns coming out the win, but with a little bit of a twist at the end. He would be attacked by the new group formed called the League of Nations, which is Alberto Del Rio, Rusev, King Barrett, and the Mr. Money in the Bank winner, Sheamus. Of course, Del Rio, Barrett, and Rusev would come out, attack Roman. Sheamus would come out, cash in, and he would become WWE Champion. Mostly, of course, him cashing in at TLC instead of him cashing in at Survivor Series like he did in real life. I feel like this would have been a better place for him to cash in, and even though, yes, he will have a little bit of a short reign with his final world title reign, because in this timeline, universe, whatever you want to call it, he will have a short title reign in his final world title reign in his career. Now, with that out of the way, we now move into 2016, first with Royal Rumble 2016, which definitely also has a good bit of keep, as well as most of the shows also keep, with the Usos versus the New Day for the WWE Tag Team titles, the Last Man Standing match between Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens for the Intercontinental title, Becky versus Charlotte for the Divas title, Kalisto versus Alberto Del Rio for the United States title, with Kalisto winning and becoming the new United States champion for the second time. They would still have like the back and forth between them on Raw and SmackDown leading up to Royal Rumble. But mostly the only two changes I would actually have would of course be the matchup between Sheamus and Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship. This is where Roman Reigns would reclaim the WWE Championship instead of on Monday Night Raw. Still probably get a big pop or not, I don't know. This was a weird point for Roman Reigns, where the company was trying to push him to be this big baby face, the next big baby face of the company. But fans weren't really liking it because of how much he was being pushed. But it would win his second WWE Championship here at the Royal Rumble and would go into WrestleMania as the WWE Champion. The next change would probably be the Royal Rumble match. Now, mostly with the change would be the winner. Now, I don't really have time to really talk about every change entrant, but I can say some moments. AJ Styles would still make his debut at number 3. Roman Reigns would not come in at number 1, someone else will. Or maybe Rusev would come in at number 1, but Styles would actually come in at number 2 instead of at number 3. He would actually go a little bit longer, and he would not be eliminated by Kevin Owens. He would actually be eliminated by Brock Lesnar, as there would be some sort of face-off between them two, but also would kind of set up a little bit of a big dream match down the road between those two. But the final 4 I would have would be Dean Ambrose, Sheamus, Bray Wyatt, and Chris Jericho. And then mostly I believe it would come down to Sheamus and Dean Ambrose, with actually Dean Ambrose winning it, as of course in real life he was close to actually winning it. So he would actually go on the win and believe to be the first wrestler to win a Royal Rumble as a singles champion, as of course he was Intercontinental Champion winning this. But he would still lose the Intercontinental Championship in that Fatal 5-way match on a random SmackDown. I believe it was after the Rumble is when he would lose it to Kevin Owens, but he still has his ticket to WrestleMania. Now the next pay-per-view on the road to WrestleMania at this point, we get Fastlane 2016, and mostly the key matches for Fastlane 2016, first being AJ Styles versus Jericho. AJ Styles, his first pay-per-view match against Chris Jericho. Of course, him and Jericho had gone back and forth a little bit on Raw and SmackDown, setting up this big match between the two at Fastlane. The match would go the same, and AJ Styles would pick up his first win in WWE on a pay-per-view. But this would be the only time they would have their little rivalry. Nothing would happen after, because a little bit of a change. After the match, he would be attacked by Brock Lesnar, instantly setting up for WrestleMania 32, Brock Lesnar, AJ Styles. The next match, of course, with this being in Cleveland, the hometown guy, Dolph Ziggler, would face Kevin Owens for the Intercontinental Championship in a really good match. Dolph Ziggler, of course, being close to winning the Intercontinental Championship again in his career. Kevin Owens would, of course, pull out the victory and reclaim his championship, going into WrestleMania as the Intercontinental Champion. Charlotte versus Brie Bella. Brie Bella, of course, the wife of Daniel Bryan, who, yes, would still end up retiring because, of course, his neck injury and, of course, the severe injuries he would sustain. But, of course, he would still come back as the SmackDown General Manager. But we'll get to that in later videos. In a later video, probably the next video. But Brie Bella would have a chance at the Divas Championship against Charlotte. Charlotte, however, would still retain the Divas Championship against Brie Bella. And the final match would also be that women's tag team match with Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch versus Team Bad of Naomi and Tamina, with, I believe, Sasha and Becky winning. And then, of course, that would, set up the big triple threat match at WrestleMania 32 between Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte at WrestleMania 32. Now for the new matches, mostly just two new matches, one of them being, of course, a match with the Royal Rumble winner Dean Ambrose, as he would go one-on-one with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins really wanting a shot at the WWE Championship and really wanting to go after the WWE Championship again, a title that he deserves to have back. He did not have a rematch for it after TLC, so he's looking to try to eke his way in. He battles Dean Ambrose for his Royal Rumble spot, but sadly falls short. And around this point, his relationship with the Authority, mostly, of course, with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, has been rocky up and down ever since he lost. He's mostly tried to align himself with the League of Nations, as he's actually gotten rid of the J&J security that he used to have. So he's definitely now aligned himself with mostly the League of Nations and is actually seeking help from Vince McMahon himself. But Vince McMahon is also trying to deal with stuff with Stephanie and Hunter. As, of course, I believe it was around this point, after Fastlane, he, of course, would have to deal with the return of his son, Shane McMahon. We'll get to that later on. But, of course, Dean versus Seth would be a new match. Dean would come out with the win. The main event, however, would be a rematch, though, between Sheamus and Roman Reigns for one final time. League of Nations would try to get involved, but with a little help, actually, from Dean Ambrose himself, the Rumble winner, Roman Reigns would actually win. There would be sort of a little stare down between the Rumble winner and Roman and the world champion. Roman and Dean, friends, brothers, now potentially going to main event WrestleMania together. It is going to be definitely a big main event for WrestleMania 32. Now, for the final pay-per-view, of course, the granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania 32, the final show for this part 1 video definitely was a big change with this What If, and shockingly, only 3 keep matches on this WrestleMania 32 card. Of course, one of them, most importantly, being the match of the night in real life, probably the best match that happened in real life, the Divas Championship triple threat match between Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha, with this being the final time we would see the Divas Championship, as of course they would move on to the new WWE Women's Championship. The match, of course, would stay the same as usual. It would be in a fantastic match, fantastic spots, and yes, Charlotte would come out with the win, becoming the new WWE Women's Champion, but still retaining her title technically, and still being the Women's Champion. The other key match would be, I believe, the match that would start off the show, the 6-man ladder Intercontinental Championship ladder match, with Kevin Owens defending his Intercontinental title against Zack Ryder, The Miz, Sin Cara, Sami Zayn, Stardust, and I think Dolph Ziggler. Did I say Dolph Ziggler? I don't know. But those guys would battle it out in an Intercontinental Championship ladder match, and yes, Zack Ryder would still get his big WrestleMania moment and become the new Intercontinental Champion. And finally, this was a part of the main card, looking back at it with the WrestleManias, they always had it on the main card sometime. They would have it on the main card, have it on the kickoff show, I don't know. Was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal when they did it on WrestleMania, but I don't know if they are doing it anymore, I don't know really. But, of course, the match would stay the same. Shaq, of course, would make a surprise appearance. Yes, Shaq made a surprise appearance at WrestleMania 32, if you guys did not know that. But Baron Corbin, who was a part of NXT at the point, would actually pick up a big win, shocking everybody and win. And, of course, this would be his big call-up to the main roster. Now, with the keep matches out the way, we now get into the new matches. Mostly, let's first start off with this new match. Now, mostly this is sort of a change match, but also a keep match. It is the multi-person tag team match between the New Day and the League of Nations. Instead of a 3-on-3, I feel like it would have been more interesting to see it maybe a 4-on-3, like a handicap match of sort. But instead of the League of Nations winning, I think the New Day would have won, but they probably still would have been attacked by the League of Nations, being sore losers, which of course would still lead into the legends of Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, and Mick Foley to come out, save the New Day, of course do their signature moves on the League of Nations, and of course, yes, the stunner to Xavier Woods would still happen. The other big match, of course, would be the big dream match that probably could have happened at WrestleMania at some point, is Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles. Now, this match, of course, would happen a year before it was actually the first match they had, because their first match was at Survivor Series 2017 when they were both world champions. But at this point, I feel like it would be pretty perfect for AJ Styles to have Brock Lesnar as his first WrestleMania opponent. And I would still say yes, he would still sadly lose, just like he lost to Chris Jericho, but I feel like it would look better for him to lose to Brock Lesnar than to Chris Jericho a little bit. The other match I would have, of course, this mostly involves like the segment with The Rock coming out saying like, oh, we get the record-breaking 101,000 fans, and then the Wyatt family comes out. But instead of the 6-second match against Eric Rowan, I think it would have been more interesting if they did like a short 5-10 minute match between him and Bray Wyatt. It would have been a perfect moment for Bray Wyatt, rest in peace, and it would have been a pretty cool match. I would still have Rock probably picking up the win. Wyatt family would try to attack him, and then of course John Cena would still make his return after kind of being on the show for the past couple months. Return, help The Rock, they would have their moment. There's the WrestleMania moment for y'all. Another match, of course, this involves The Undertaker's match. Of course, it will not be against Shane McMahon. I have something else in mind for Shane McMahon. But Undertaker would mostly face Chris Jericho. Mostly leading up to this, Chris Jericho, seeing that he does not have a path to WrestleMania, he thinks to himself and knows to himself the only way he's going to get to WrestleMania is if he challenges one man, and that is the dead man, Undertaker. He challenges him. Undertaker kind of teases return, and then finally, maybe a couple weeks or the Raw before WrestleMania or something like that, finally returns, chokeslams Chris Jericho, setting up their big WrestleMania match. I believe their first ever one-on-one match in their careers. I think they've had matches with each other, but I don't know if they've ever had a one-on-one match, in my knowing. But a perfect first time ever one-on-one match between the two, WrestleMania 32. I believe the match would be really good, and Chris Jericho would almost come out on top to win and give Undertaker his second loss, because of course at this point he would still be having one loss after his loss to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30. But Chris Jericho would not come out on top. Undertaker would win in a pretty good, amazing match between the two. Undertaker wins, Chris Jericho loses. Now the second to last match I would have would mostly be with Shane McMahon. And I would actually have Shane McMahon go up against Triple H. Now, of course, Shane McMahon would return to mostly tell to Vince, his dad, say, look, I want to take over Monday Night Raw. it should not be Stephanie and Triple H. So Vince McMahon makes up a match, says, you know what, you want to take control, you just have to have one match at one place, WrestleMania 32, against the game Triple H, no holds barred street fight. And of course, hype would go into it the past couple weeks, back and forth between Triple H and Shane, of like who wants to take control of Monday Night Raw, be in control of WWE. The match comes at WrestleMania 32. It's a grueling war between the two. Extreme moments all around. Shane McMahon putting his body on the line, but he would actually pull out the victory in this match against Triple H. Instead of losing to Triple H like he did The Undertaker, he would actually win. Finally get the respect he gets from his father, and definitely starts to get control with Monday Night Raw a little bit. Now, with all that said, we finally get to the main event of WrestleMania 32, and I feel like it would have been a perfect main event for WrestleMania. WrestleMania 32 main event, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns, the Shield triple threat match, happening, yes, in the same year, but not at Battleground, this time at WrestleMania. And yes, this would actually be the only time all three men would fight in a triple threat match. Perfect place, perfect scenario, WWE title on the line, Roman Reigns going in as champion. This, I feel like they could have done even, I feel like they would have done this in real life if Seth Rollins did not get injured. But leading up to it, there was that little house show pay-per-view roadblock. Let's say Seth Rollins had a chance to get the title back and go to WrestleMania at that roadblock event. He loses to Roman Reigns, sadly, but then he actually gets granted a second opportunity by Vince McMahon, who is in the middle of course, dealing with the stuff with Shane. He says, you know what? You get one more opportunity against Dean Ambrose. You beat Dean Ambrose, you go on to WrestleMania. Now, the League of Nations get involved in this match, and Roman tries to help out, but he accidentally costs Dean Ambrose the match. Seth Rollins pins, and he actually goes on to WrestleMania, setting up this triple threat main event. And really, this match could be what they had at Battleground, and mostly just put it on WrestleMania. You know, like, instead of them having it at Battleground, they have it at WrestleMania. The match would stay the same, the spots would stay the same, only difference would be Roman's going in as champion, and it would stay the same that Dean would win. He would win, get his WrestleMania moment, and finally become WWE champion months before he actually would in real life, making him have a little bit of a longer title reign as WWE champion. Alright guys, this is of course where we're going to end the part 1 video of WWE What If. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was definitely something I was looking forward to do, especially this first video. I hope you guys are excited for the next couple videos that I will of course be doing, the next series. I will also try to make a playlist on the YouTube channel as well. But if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you like the video. Definitely leave a comment down below if you guys enjoyed, and definitely are looking forward to what this series will be about, and like the next videos of this series and all that. Okay, with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can be updated for future videos on the channel, and of course be updated for the future videos of this series. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of WWE What If, and I'll see you guys in the next video.